This video will show you how to replace the coolant tank reservoir on your Cascadia Evolution with a DD15 motor. Doesn't necessarily apply to Cascadias only, as long as you have the newer DD15 motors. Start by evacuating your coolant. Make sure that it's either cold or depressurized before you start to remove as much fluid as you possibly can. What's holding the reservoir is 13mm bolts, and start by removing the one off to the side. And I didn't show you this on the video, but you can remove the sensor. It is a dry install and no fluid is going to come out, so just twist it off and you'll be good. The 4 is what I just showed you at the top that secures that to the radiator. I just broke that clip here for this clamp and to be able to get that removed because it has expanded to a point where I couldn't easily remove it. I wouldn't necessarily use what I used there to take off the hoses, so if you can get away with using a pick, I would do that instead. And once you have this side of the clamp and the hose removed, start with the overflow, which is this pipe right here. I'll show you in just a minute. Right there. And evacuate the rest of the tank fluid that you possibly can. There will still be a lot that will spill over, so just be prepared to have something to either absorb it or clean it up with. And once you have that removed, fit the new tank in. Start by inserting the hose that connects to the water pump first and put the clamp back on. After you have that set, you can connect the 13mm nut that goes on the driver's side. Once you have that one fitted, fit the rest of them at the top. Don't forget to use this with a thread locker, because since the motor likes to vibrate, you're going to want to have something to keep that in place. And since you are working with plastic, you want to make sure that you don't want to over torque any of these and do the whole thing by hand. Once you have the 4 secured, make sure that you start off with this side nut here. And once you have that secured in place, that's when you can tighten up the rest of them here. The rest of the process here is just putting everything back in place. Make sure you check on everything before you start filling it with fluid. And then go slow and steady just to make sure that, especially the very bottom hose that connects to the water pump, that's the most important part that you're going to want to make sure that you've seated properly and doesn't leak. So again, just put everything back and start filling it slow. Once you start to fill it slow, it's definitely still going to need some coolant. So run the motor until the thermostat starts to open up, so it'll evacuate more from that coolant reservoir. As for me, you can tell that it just keeps on coming down. And be sure you check and fill for your next couple of trips. So connect that sensor back in place and then you're done. So overall, it's a pretty easy process. You can take about an hour to get it done. And thank you for watching, guys. Take care.